Good morning. I thought I'd do a little review video of the machines that I use and what I think about them. If anyone's looking to buy a second-hand machine and was looking at one of these, I'll give you some idea of what it's like. This is the Kubota U48-4, a 5-ton machine with the Rototilt R2 on it. This machine is a 2012 and has got 5,200 hours on it. I do keep stuff regularly serviced, keep on top of that, oil changes, oil in the final drives changed, and as you can see from the state of it, it does get greased regularly. Start with the Rototilt. I've had that on now for 2 years and it's never given me any trouble. It's direct mount, so I can't drop it off with a hitch. It stays on the machine, but I've never felt I've needed to take it off, and it's done some quite hard work. It's done harder work than I thought I would do with it before I put one on, if that makes sense. I'm not fearful of it now. It's a very, very strong unit. Give me no trouble. Again, grease it regular, keep on top of that. The buckets from BMC, very, very good set of buckets. They've made a few for me. This is the ICS control, so it's electric servos. See the little plug there? That wiring goes all the way back to the cab, to the new joysticks that I put in. So yeah, I've had that about 2 years, never given any trouble. The only thing it does sometimes, once in a blue moon, is it will rotate to the right on its own. But because I've always got the dog with me, I generally have the door open, and your left-hand joystick, which on mine is the one I've got programmed for doing the rotate, if it's raining, the control gets a bit damp, which isn't ideal. And as I say, it might do it once every 2 or 3 months for a minute. You know, it soon stops. So, absolutely brilliant unit. No complaints at all. Great, good backup. Been spot on. The digger itself, I can't fault. I think the only annoying thing is the position of the mirror there. When you jump in and out, sometimes you bang it with your shoulder. But other than that, it's superb. A friend of mine's got one that's a year old, and this doesn't really drive any different. And this has got 5,000 hours more on it. It's a great tool. Everything's handy on it. Little panel at the front there. There's a drain for the fuel tank there to get any water out. This is where you refuel it. The button there, that makes a beeping noise. Press that and then it starts beeping. And when you're filling up with fuel, the faster the beep gets, the fuller the tank is. So for me, filling up out of a little 100-litre Bowser there with the pump on, it lets you know. So the faster the beep gets, the more the tank's getting full. And when you get a solid beep, the tank's full, which is great because you don't overfill it and spill any fuel, which, especially on the golf course, is a big benefit. It's handy that. Then under the bonnet, Kubota engine. It's never missed a beat for me. Never uses oil or water. Dead easy to get the dipstick there. Easy access to all the filters. I service this myself and it takes all of half an hour to swap the filters on a bad day. Water trap there, getting any water out the fuel, which you do get a bit now. A lot of biofuel being in the diesel. And then this side panel, you've got really good access. Hydraulic tank, rads and coolers, you can blow them out with the airline easily, or wash them. And then all your pipes pretty much come to this side. And I've had to swap a couple. That wasn't too bad of a job to do. Grease guns in there, battery easy to get at. Yeah, never really needed to do anything under here. So, all in all, if you're after a second-hand 5-ton machine, if my experience is anything to go by, one of these Kubotas, brilliant. Oh, I'll tell you what, it will lift a ton bag. Even with the Rototilt on, where there is a bit of weight in that, it'll lift a ton bag and send it out nearly full reach, even across the tracks as it's sat now, which is quite impressive, and it is handy to be able to do that. So yeah, brilliant machine. If you find one in good condition, like I say, this has done 5,000 odd hours, and the way it drives, it'll do a good few more as well, so I wouldn't be frightened of one. So there you go, we'll do the case next. So onto the good old Terex dumper. Big wide tyres on it for the golf work. Do come in handy for other stuff, but you've got to be very careful. I really could do with the second dumper, because jobs like this, running on this crush brake, it's a bit risky and a bit daft really. I should really keep them purely for the golf job, but you know, not just every day you go out and buy a spare dumper, so just for the time being, until I've got a bit more money for another one, we're using this. So this is a 2008 model. Don't know the hours on it, but it's been very reliable. When I first got it, because it'd been on building site work, and they do like to drive them knee deep in muck. Don't know if you can see, but there's a seal that goes in there in that gap, and they were leaking oil out of the axle. So what happens is they get them running up to this height in the muck, and then dirt can get in that gap, and it just wears the seal away ever so slightly over time, and then eventually they give up. So I had to put seals in. They were £150 each, but you know, not a big job. About 3 hours, me and a good fitter did that. Since then, it's given me no trouble. All the greasing points, easy to get at. Obviously, crawl underneath, greasing the props are a bit of an art, trying to get it all lined up in the right position, so when you're on your own, a bit of faffing, but that's the same with any dumper, so it doesn't make any odds. Been a great tool, runs nice. Cummins 4BT engine, so touch wood, can't really go wrong with that. It is running now, sorry for the noise, getting warmed up. Low loader's coming to pick it up, so I'll hire the golf course. Forwards and backwards shuttle, 4 speeds on the gearbox, handbrake, tipping, roll bar which folds down for transport. Travels very well on the big tyres, obviously. Decent access. The engine, servicing, hydraulic tank, electric cut-off switch there. And then around the other side, same again. Dipstick down the bottom there, good access. Gearbox dipstick, filters. There's not a great deal to say about it. Tyres are a good fit. Oh. So yeah, I've had this since I've had it maybe 6 months, since winter. Been good, been cheap to run. Not had to do anything besides those seals and service it and keep it greased. Again, if you're looking for a dumper, this is I think it's a PT600. There's no stickers left on it. I think it's a PT600 Benford Terex with the Cummins engine, 08. So it's it's a good age. But again, check all the fluids and everything, and I wouldn't be afraid of buying another one. I wouldn't be worried about the hours. If they run and drive and go into all the gears, then they seem to be a pretty bomb-proof machine, touch wood. One thing I will say is the handbrakes are apparently not just limited to this one being not very good, but they're not the best design. They're not very big, and there's not much life on the pads when you put new pads in, so the handbrake on this is terrible. It needs replacing, which is the next job. It does work, but it's not the best if you're working on a slope, so it needs doing. But yeah, besides that, a good machine. Again, I don't run new stuff, everything's second hand that I run. because just the way my business works, there's only me, and I can only drive one thing at once. So when you've got a couple of machines sat around, if they're new and on finance, it takes a bit of pain for. So yeah, that's the dumper. It will carry a full 6 ton if you heap it up, and that's all there is to say about it really. We'll keep going with it and hopefully get another one on standard tyres for rougher jobs, I would call them, more groundwork jobs like this one, and eventually this will get repainted and just get kept for the golf work. Or if I find another one that's slightly newer, I'll maybe swap these wheels and tyres onto the newer machine and keep this one with the standard tyres for rougher jobs like this. But there you go, a review of the 3 main machines that I use. Hopefully if you're going to go and look to buy one, it might have been some use to you. Thanks for watching. So the 13 tonner, a Case CX130B, gave it a bit of a wash last week and came back to the yard. Been a decent machine, got the wrong stickers on, someone's tried to make it look a bit newer. Picked this up about 6 months ago. It's the model I wanted. Didn't have any choice, couldn't find one for love nor money. This is about the only one for sale in the country. It's a 2008, so an early model, but it's only got 6,300 hours on it, so very low hours, genuine hours. It's safe to say that I've picked up the slack from the previous owner. They maintained it, serviced it, all the oil was clean, bang on the levels. I've changed the engine oil and everything, give it a full service anyway. Just I like to do that when I buy a machine that I don't know the history of. But the fitter seemed to think, excuse me, it had been looked after and serviced at least. They weren't worried about keeping it clean. I've probably spent 3 days cleaning this all together, in the cab, underneath, around the engine. It's had an oil leak in the past, and it's making it difficult for me to tell if it's still got an oil leak or it's just what we've got in stock sat on the belly pans is dripping. But I've got most of it off now. Changed the sump gasket last week because I'm pretty sure that was leaking a bit, but it's nice and clean inside, no leaks, runs nicely. I've spent a lot of time, as I say, cleaning. I've done quite a few jobs. I changed an idler yoke which had collapsed and would have been alright if you plodded along, but it was annoying me. As I say, changed the sump gasket, full service. What else? So in the cab, a lot of jobs in the cab. They were rough. So this plastic, quite often you find them smashed just because jumping in and out the cab, but that was smashed and looked a mess. Even that one was smashed, and you can see there where the gaffer tape was. It was all covered in gaffer tape. Looked a mess, to be honest. So I did those jobs in the cab, give it a very good clean. What else? Oh, little things like the rollers that help the window go up and down in the frame. One of them was missing, which meant it was very, very difficult to open the window, which was bugging me, so swapped that. Oh, the pedal for the auxiliaries, that was seized up because it hadn't been used and was rusted, but to be fair, the guy who bought it off, he paid for that because he did tell me it was 100% mechanically right. He paid for that, and when I fitted it, so that was good, to be honest. It is a second-hand machine with a bit of age about it. Yeah, seat's not ripped to pieces. It's pretty straight now and tidy. I've done a bit of painting around it as well, just to cover up some of the rust. Door seals. All the rubber was it was all wavy and it was leaking, so I've peeled that off, pulled the plastic studs out and silicone that back on in place. Seems a lot better now. What else? Just a good wash really, and general maintenance along the way. It has cost me a few quid, but I suppose that's the price you pay for having a particular model in mind that I wanted. Got the Powertilt on it, good unit, really like that. Scandinavian style ditcher, which again for the golf work is superb. But yeah, for the age of it, nice machine. I was going to get it painted this summer. The guy who's going to do it hasn't been very proactive, so now I've given it a wash and I look at it, I think, well, am I just wasting my money? It doesn't look bad, it looks tidy enough. Money could be spent elsewhere, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, happy with it. As I say, I was particular, wanted this model. No AdBlue, no DPF. Fairly simple, not much electronics. So I suppose when you choose to buy a machine, I think the newest one they made of these was a 2012, so they're 10 years old. This is 2008. But as I say, with 6,300 hours, I think you could buy a 2015 machine, and they'll all have more. They'll all have 7,000 or 8,000 hours on, so I think the better the devil you know, and keep doing the little jobs on it as I need to, and you know, even with a day a month maintenance, it's still, in real terms, money-wise, well, I say a good investment. That's how I run things. I don't buy new machines. I don't believe, with just being me, there's only me can drive them. I don't believe the extra money, give you an extra 50,000 quid buying a new one, which I almost guarantee won't do anything different. I won't do a better job, and I certainly won't get paid anymore for having a new machine. So I've always run tidy second-hand machines, fix them as I need to, and touch wood, I've never had anything major, so hopefully that'll continue. So there you go, that's the case. Oh, I'll tell you what I am doing today. Got the fuel bowser in the pickup. I'm just going to fill it up to the top with fuel. It's about 3/4 full. Just with the way the diesel job is, there is a handy little thing inside that machine where on the hour clock there's a trip on it, so you can zero the trip, not the hour clock. But I'm going to fill it with fuel and zero the trip and run it until it's down to 1 bar and just see how many hours I get out of a tank of fuel. So going forwards, I can see what it's costing me an hour to run it on the dreaded white. Anyway, there you go, that's the case. Happy with it. Thank you for watching.